Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, visited the United States of America for the first time in 13 years on Thursday. Now, during his visit, the former vice president held meetings with officials and business leaders in the United States, including members of Congress and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. This visit comes weeks after the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, urged the United States to exercise caution in granting Atiku Abubakar a visa to ensure that the United States doesn't appear to favor one candidate over another in the 2019 general election. Now, joining us this morning to speak on the essence of the PDP Presidential Candidate's U.S. trip is one of his campaign's spokesperson, Kunle. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program. Now, help us clear the air on this, if you will. In what capacity did your principal, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, go to the United States in the company of Senate President Bukola Saraki? And can he visit that country on his own?
Good morning and compliment of the season to the entire crew of the Arise Television.
Thank you.
And compliment of the season to Nigerians at home and abroad. I think this issue of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar going to United States of America or not going will die finally when he becomes the president of Nigeria in less than a month's time. I think in the beginning they said Atiku Abubakar cannot go to United States of America. In fact, they said he's not the suitable candidate to be the presidential flag bearer for PDP, for our party. And he went to Port Harcourt and came out in flying colors. Then they say, oh, he cannot go to United States of America. And then we kept quiet. Some of us, we were watching how the whole debate. You know, Nigeria is a country of 80-20 ratio in rumor. 80% of what you hear on the street everywhere in Nigeria is rumor. 20% may carry the facts. Okay, so we said, okay, Atiku cannot go to America, let's watch. Atiku has gone to United States of America. In fact, to the capital of the world, Washington, D.C., and had meetings and interactions and engagement, and he's back in Abuja. So heaven has not fallen. So he has gone there, one, as a citizen of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Two, he has gone there as the flag bearer of PDP that wants to wrestle power from APC. So, and he has traveled there with Senator Bukola Saraki because Senator Bukola Saraki is a senior member of the PDP and sitting Senate President, and at the same time, the chairman of the campaign organization for Atiku. So the credentials are just good enough for him to accompany Atiku Abubakar to United States of America. It's a formidable team. So, and that is about that. I don't know why this controversy is so much to the extent that the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, will go to the extent of saying they should not give a Nigerian citizen visa. He was appealing to United States of America not to issue visa for a Nigerian citizen. I mean, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is still a Nigerian citizen. He's a Nigerian citizen that deserves to be protected by this government. If you look at the Constitution of Nigeria, this government swear and took an oath based on our Constitution to protect every citizen of this country. So Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is entitled to be protected by this government, and by any government for that matter. So as a citizen, not even as an aspirant, not even as a flag bearer of PDP, and a leading opposition, and a president in the waiting, he will be elected in this country. And he will win the election with flying colors. So I don't know why the panic and all the hysterics all over the place. I think we should just remain calm and follow things scientifically. Although I see a lot of agitation from the primitive tendencies of the incumbent government against modernity. I see the whole movement is like primitivity is fighting modernity. That is just the summary of what I see going on.
All right.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, but you haven't answered the question on whether he can travel to the United States on his own.
I don't know how you want me to answer it again. If by the status of the people he traveled with to the United States of America, it already shows you that he has business in America. If he has individual or private activity to do in America, he will travel to America as a private citizen. If the visa goes by the type of visa I have, my visa is valid for business for 2 years.
Okay,
so, and I'm
Mr.
sure
Kunle.
Reciprocal, America gives 2 years. We get whether he goes there alone or he
Mr. Kunle, if I can come in here, if you can hear me, one would have thought that indeed this trip, after over a decade, would lay to rest the controversies, but instead it has left some questions unanswered. Your candidate did say he was going to meet with government officials, Nigerians in Washington, D.C., and the business community. We are aware that he met with the Chamber of Commerce, but it was off-the-record meeting. Can you give us what was discussed in that meeting? What is the takeaway from it? And can you also tell us the specific U.S. government officials that your candidate met with?
The meeting in the United States of America, if you see the interaction and the engagement there, one is to clear the air. That, look, here I am. I'm here in Washington, D.C. I'm not yet president, but I want to be president of Nigeria. And here are some of my programs. Here are the new engagement I'm going to have with you when I become president. So, okay, I give you an example. United States of America used to have Nigeria as a strategic country for energy security supply to the United States of America. Today, United States of America does not see Nigeria as a strategic country for energy security because the configuration of energy supply to United States of America has changed. So the new engagement that Nigeria must have with the United States of America is what Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is trying to articulate. And he is building up this for his winning this election. Then he will unveil the strategic engagement he's going to have with the United States of America. So for now, United States of America believes that Nigeria is not too strategic to them in energy supply anymore. So because they are almost now energy supply independent in the United States of America because they produce between 10.5 and 11.5 million barrels of crude oil per day. They are producing sufficient gas now between them and Canada that drives their economy. They are now even exporting the excess gas, which they used to buy from Nigeria. They are exporting excess gas to China, to Europe, to anywhere in the world now from United States of America. So that means our new engagement, our new vision with America, which I believe Atiku represents, has to change. We have to re-engage America. We have to say, okay, this old era of oil-gas relationship is going. Let us open the new chapter in our relationship because we have affinity. We speak the same language. We have affinity with the United States of America. We had a relatively close master, which is Britain. You know the influence of Britain in America. So for this reason, Atiku Abubakar has to engage America because we are going to open a new chapter. We are going to engage America at another level. because oil and gas is no longer the issue. So I will not unveil everything for now, but you can see all the major companies in America, how they have been very, very reluctant to invest in Nigeria. So we need to re-engage them. We need to open a new chapter with them. Procter & Gamble left. General Electric, they are neither there nor here. You know, in spite of all the opportunities for them to sell turbine to this country, the opportunities for them to sell railway locomotives to this country. But look at what we have made of ourselves. Look at what APC government have done. So they have refused to create the right environment, the atmosphere for investment to arrive here. Even the local investors, look at how they have been humiliated all over the place, abused, you know, call all sorts of names, and yet you want them to employ people. You want the private sector to grow the economy. So how? So our strategy now with Atiku is to re-engage America because the world is moving to a new frontier. That is why my first statement is that primitivity is fighting modernity. Atiku is the face of modernity, and he's going to engage America. America is leading the modern world. Okay. Just take it or leave it. America is leading the modern world.
Okay. But some would wonder if your candidate is not jumping the gun, knowing that politics is local, and at this time he should be focusing on getting the people on his side rather than the international community as he's still a candidate going into an election.
Madam, Atiku Abubakar spent two days in the United States of America. So nobody can say that PDP is not driving the political campaign from bottom up. We are in 774 local government in this country. We are working bottom up. So Atiku is in close contact with all his disciples and followers in this country. So his absence for 2 days, he left Lagos Wednesday night, arrived America Thursday afternoon, American time, which was about 8:30 p.m. Nigerian time here. And he was engaged all through Friday. Then he departed and arrived here again Saturday. So 2 days out of Nigeria, just say effectively 2.5 days out of Nigeria. I don't think that has created that much gap between him and his team. So politics is local. But now, significantly, you cannot ignore the Western world. You cannot ignore the Western world. You are talking to me today based on technology innovated and created by the Western world. So you and me today, everything I wear, everything surrounding me physically here in Nikonoga Hilton Hotel today is engineered from the Western world. Even if the local material is taken from here or from anywhere in the world, it will go over there for processing and transformation before it gets back here for use. So if you ignore America, the America that just one company in America, just Google budget alone, or Microsoft budget alone. So who is Nigeria to ignore countries like America or Britain or Germany? So you must engage the international community. You have to engage them if you want. The world is a global place. It's a flat place. The more you try to close yourself in, unless for specific purposes, the more you are going to get pressure from technology. WhatsApp, as I'm talking to you now, some people are not watching me on direct television. They are watching us from their handsets, smartphones. So how can you now say that a president should sit here and not engage the international world? America is not a country to ignore. You know, if we want to develop in this country today, we still need America. We must open up to them to take part of their excess capacity to come and increase our own prosperity here. So there is so much to say, but let's just try to let's rationalize time. Let's rationalize time.
Dan Kunle, your candidate visited the United States and he met with the government officials and business community. Nigerians are concerned that he did not attend the debate and actually participate in it. That was an opportunity for him to give Nigerians his manifesto and to tell them what his policies are for moving the country forward. Now, people are saying that there's a belief that he left the debate to avoid being humiliated by the other participants. What's your response?
Thank you very much. This is the part of Nigeria. You move an inch, they say don't move. You don't move, they say, why is he just standing there? Is he zombie? You see, let me clear one thing. Atiku Abubakar was never afraid getting involved in national debate. At every point, he has made his agenda very clear, at every point. Even when you see his utterances, his body language, you will, so the debate was for him to engage President Muhammad Buhari and say, okay, I was vice president for 8 years. These were the program we were running. These were the transformation agenda we were running for 8 years. And you have come in the last 3.5 years. You have even ignored some that were even by law. There are so many reforms that were backed by law. You, President Buhari, you have ignored those ones. You are not even doing them. So the engagement between Atiku and President Buhari would have been very good for this country. But because President Buhari was the one who did not turn up, Atiku Abubakar turned up. He was here in this Hilton. But he cannot go to be discussing and be engaging with the other 3 fellows because those ones have never run any policy or program in the past. Obi Ezekwesili was Atiku's staff. I'm not saying that Obi is not qualified to be the president of this country. She's qualified. The 3 of them are qualified to be president. But when you look at the issues on ground, what engagement will Atiku have with those 3 guys? They have never been sitting on the seat of vice president before. They have never been sitting on the seat of Mr. President before. So the engagement will have been more rewarding, more decisive for Nigerian people to say, oh, between these 5 people, Atiku and Buhari looks like they are the one really in the boxing ring. The remaining 3 people are going to be very good. If Atiku wins, some of them can join the cabinet. They can become advisor or join the cabinet. Obi was with us for 8 years. We know she's good, but okay, she has her own. So Kingsley was in Central Bank. He is also good. The other guy is just, I don't know his pedigree. So how will Atiku just come on that table and start arguing with those guys or trying to engage those guys? It will not flow. So I think it was very dignified for him to have just said, look, let me just go because the main guy that I want to challenge is absent. So he rushed back from United States of America. You can imagine the time zone alone. Just see the time zone. It's about 6.5 hours. Well, he came back, quickly took shower, and he was there. So I think we should not overflog that issue. This is still part of Nigeria. We overflog some issues that are
so let's move on. Let's move on. Even though it sounds like your candidate is in the race for President Muhammad Buhari and not for the Nigerians he's seeking their votes. But you talked about reforms just now. Your candidate has said repeatedly that he would privatize NNPC. In fact, he said he doesn't mind if it will cost him his life, and he is going to do it. But over the weekend, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress in the South, in Edo State and Delta State, mentioned the same issue. And when he asked the crowd, the mammoth crowd, if they wanted their NNPC to be sold, the response was resounding. It was a resounding no. What is your take about this privatization that your candidate seems to be pushing so hard?
Okay. Thank you very much. I hope you know the chairman of APC, Adam Osimele. I hope you know his pedigree. He was the president of NLC, and by virtue of that position, he was a member of the National Council on Privatization from 1999 to 2007, when he went to run for governorship. He knows that National Council on Privatization is backed by law. And NNPC is listed in that law. So if APC government have ignored the law of Nigeria, and now Atiku said, look, this thing is in the law. The same Adam Osimele was among the people who helped President Obasanjo to get the labor to buy into reform and privatization. That was how we were able to sell almost all the automobile companies in Nigeria. That was how we were able to privatize almost all the banks in Nigeria. That was how we were able to privatize LMA Petrochemical, that is now called Indorama Petrochemical in Port Harcourt, that is doing excellently well. That was how we were able to privatize so many companies between 1999 and 2007. Now, take what they are politicizing in Nigeria. If you politicize NNPC, okay, I give you. I'm aware on good authority, for example, that General Motors of United States of America wants to come to Nigeria to set up. Do you remember the automobile industry structure in Nigeria? From Square, I don't know your age, sorry. Square used to be in Apapa. Square, it's a French company. They used to assemble pickups, Peugeot pickups in Apapa. Then Volkswagen of Germany came. They set up on Badagry Expressway. Then Leyland Land Rover came, set up in Ibadan, all assembly line. Then Dalma Benz came, set up truck assembly line in Enugu. Then came Peugeot Citroën, set up car assembly line in Kaduna. Then Steyr of Austria set up assembly line with Defense Industry Corporation in Kaduna at Bauchi. Now, Fiat Alice, Fiat Aveco set up truck and tractor assembly line in Kano. Now, all this automobile industry came into this country. We privatized them because they were all government-driven. So they were running at a loss. Government was giving, Mofi, Minister of Finance and Corporation, was giving them loan every day. They were all running at a loss. So we privatized them. But you see, what I'm about to say now is, all the companies that, like Nigerian Paper Mill, like Ajaokuta Steel, all the companies that government own, including NNPC, take NMC, Nigerian Mining Corporation in Jos. Take it for example. It was set up almost the same time by Gowon, General Gowon, with NNPC. NNPC is the monster that has almost destroyed this country economically. Because if you go and check their activities, there is a typical case of one Irish company today that wants to claim $9 billion from Nigeria government now. Judgment debt, because of the ineptitude of NNPC. $9 billion, not 9 billion naira. So if somebody come and say, here is the law, we have privatized all these companies I mentioned, we have privatized them. We have even dissolved NMC Jos. We have sold all the fingers of NMC Jos. We have privatized them because government was just putting money there. Okay. So if NNPC is sitting on 3-4 refineries and none is working, I say 3 or 4 because the small one in Port Harcourt is attached to the big one in Port Harcourt, so we still call it 4 refineries, but okay, it's 3. Okay, none of the 3 refineries are working. I wrote a memo, open memo, to Kachuku 2 years ago, the Minister of Petroleum, and said he should tell us how he wants to get Port Harcourt refinery to work. Till this moment, the 3 refineries are not working. Nigerians should ask the question here. The workers, for Adam Osimele, who went to ask the crowd that do they want their, the NNPC to be sold or not, I will now ask a question here. He will have asked them, the staff and workers of Warri Refinery, or Porako Refinery, or Kaduna Refinery, that joined those refineries when they were 25, 26 years old as young graduates. Today, their own children are graduates. Can they get job in that same refinery? No. Is capital? No. So if me as father have run down the refinery because the governmental system does not allow me run the refinery efficiently to expand it and grow it so that you, my children, can now get part of the dividend of this refinery. So why should Adams, if he's not deceiving the public, if he's not misinforming the public, if he's not over-politicizing issues that he's supposed not to politicize? So this is the gullible society in which we are. This is why I said that how can people like Adams or Osimele go to say, is it good for somebody to sell NNPC? When he knows NNPC is a cancer for the country. He knows it's a labor union. He knows that it's a cancer. I just mentioned to you now that General Motors wants to come to Nigeria. I will give you, General Motors wants to come to Nigeria because they have seen a big opening for pickups. This country needs pickups. So they see an opening. But they must see that the environment is right. They must see that the atmosphere is right. So if somebody is to invest in refinery or in petrochemical in this country, he will say, oh, see what they are doing in that place. Who will clean the origins? So unless you clean NNPC, which we call unbundle, you have to unbundle NNPC. If I give you the structure of NNPC, you will be sad. You will be very sad. NNPC does not produce oil. NNPC manages our investment in oil and gas. They are just manager of our 55% or 60%. The subsidiary of NNPC that's supposed to produce oil is called MPDC, Nigerian Petroleum Development Company. They are based in Benin. I don't think as I'm talking to you, they produce up to 150,000 barrels per day. Go and check the statistics. Go to their website and check. And they are not even the one producing that oil. They outsource it. So the entire technology and technical crew and configuration for them to produce oil, since 1973, NNPC don't have it.
All right, Mr. Dan Kunle.
They only manage our joint venture, NAPIMS. So how can somebody in his right senses, to me today, to me, anybody that becomes president of Nigeria and does not touch NNPC, it means he's part of our problem.
All right, we can go on. We can go on this. We can go on this matter for as long as it takes. But let me tell you something. There is
thank you.
President Buhari's extreme popularity in the country. He has a great following. If you look at all his rallies, especially the one that took place yesterday in Borno State, it was unprecedented. It happens everywhere. When he went to other parts of the country, it was the same crowd. Now, people will say that, oh, they buy crowd, but this money could not have bought. Now, what is your candidate's chances in this election with the amount of popularity that President Buhari has? Especially as we know, as he said, President Buhari said that the people who actually vote are the masses and not the elites like yourself.
Let me tell you one thing. The support base of President Buhari, we saw it, we know his support base. This is 36 states. His support base, we know where they are. And let me tell you the sentiment about all these things. You see, because of this populist posturing of integrity, anti-corruption, so the masses, the poor, the opium of the people is, this man is the one helping us to fight the strong because we were weak. But you see, the reverse is the case. So I'm very, very sorry to tell you, if these populists knows the truth, which they will know in the next 2-3 weeks, you will see that the voting pattern in some of those places that he commands a lot of massive followers, you will see that the voting pattern will still go 50-50. It's going to go 50-50, madam, in some of those places. So the Mr. Integrity, Mr. Anti-Corruption, if you watch very carefully, those masses, do they have access to potable water? Do they have access to basic health facility? Do they have access to basic road and clean environment? This is what we are saying. It is not about just going to people and say, oh, I am helping you to fight corruption in Abuja, to fight corruption in Nigeria. Has that corruption fighting trickled down to those masses? Those masses, the houses they live in, does President Buhari go about? Has he been to Kubwa? Has he been to Buhari? Does he go about to see how the condition in which those people live? So this issue of the masses, yes, he has always had that base, but he still lost up to 2015. It was when some of our own people moved from PDP, including Atiku Abubakar, to help him in APC, that he won the election by 2-point-something million. And you will see that that 2-point-something million will be reverted back now. In fact, it will be more than, it will be ×2. 5 million votes will be reverted back to PDP.
Just like we saw.
Madam, so I'm not carried away by this issue of divide.
If you allow me here, Mr. Dankole.
And the masses, I'm not.
Just like we saw in 2015, this election is fast becoming based on integrity and credibility of the candidates. Your candidate seems to be at the receiving end of corruption allegations. Now, the recent one is one by the federal government that says that your candidate benefited from slush funds that led to the collapse of defunct bank PHP. Can you tell us if any invitation has been sent, and would your candidate present himself for a probe?
I would have loved Alhaji Lai Mohammed to answer this question. He said when Atiku Abubakar is back from America, he's going to be facing interrogation and charges. I would have loved him to answer this question. Maybe they have served him. We don't know. He should tell the country. He has the control of NTA. He has control of the whole media. He should tell the country if Atiku Abubakar has been served such interrogation or questions. But let me just tell you something about Bank PHB. I don't know how people look at investment in this country. But Bank PHB, Habib Bank was the name. I have been around for some time, so I know the economic history of this country very well. I think their technical partner, there was Bank, Habib Bank was somewhere in Pakistan. They came to Nigeria. A lot of banks wanted to come to Nigeria in those days, including Chase Manhattan. Where Aliko office is now in Lagos used to be Chase Manhattan. Then IMB was First Chicago. Then Savannah Bank that became Savannah Bank was a Bank of America. I remember vividly. So Bank PHB was Habib Bank. Who brought Habib Bank to Nigeria? Who brought Habib Bank to Nigeria? It was not Atiku. I know those people. Don't let me go about that one. But if Habib Bank transformed to Bank PHD and people had investment, they lost their investment, and maybe they have to find a way to restructure the balance sheet, and some people maybe it has to be paid off. Where is the slush fund? They should ask the people, the management of that bank, to explain to them before they go to scoop out some document and say, oh, we saw this, we saw that. This is still part of the problem of Nigeria.
All right, we're going to
of what we
have to leave it there now.
Rumor. 80% of what we parade is rumor. So Alhaji Lai should tell Nigerians whether Atiku Abubakar...
We're going to have to leave it there now. Dan Kunle, spokesman, PDP Presidential Candidate, speaking to us on the PDP candidate's Atiku Abubakar's trip to the United States and other issues surrounding his candidacy. Thank you for joining us on the morning show this morning. Well, it's time now for a short break. When we come back, we'll have the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Kola Ologbondiyan, join us to discuss Chief Olusegun Obasanjo's allegations against INEC and President Buhari. Stay with us.